This podcast is brought to you by Aura. Imagine waking up to find your bank account drained, bills for loans you never took out, a warrant for your arrest, all because someone stole your identity. Hackers aren't waiting. Why are you? That's why we're thrilled to partner with Aura. Your personal data is a goldmine for hackers, and Aura helps lock it down. Aura monitors the dark web, blocks data brokers from selling your information, includes a VPN for private browsing, and a password manager to secure your accounts before criminals break in. For a limited time, Aura is offering our listeners a 14-day free trial plus a dark web scan to check if your personal information has been leaked, all for free at aura.com/safety. That's aura.com/safety to sign up and start protecting yourself and your loved ones. That's aura.com/safety. Terms apply. Check the site for details.
Hello and welcome to Just Films and That with me, Josh Hallam.
And me, Alice Oliver. This is the podcast where we talk about films that we think are underrated, underappreciated, or we just wanted to talk about them.
We're also going to get stuck into some classic films that one of us maybe hasn't seen and maybe throw in some great guests along the way. So, we start, as we do every week, with a completely random question. Alice, what is your favourite colour?
Oh, basic, Josh. I like it. Keeping it
Have I run out of
today.
ideas? Maybe.
You know what? Definitely blue. I'll always say blue. I think I've told you this before. Massive Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I just like blue in general. Like if I'm picking out clothes, if I'm picking out a dress or whatever, I'd pick blue. Doesn't go too badly with the fact I'm ginger as well. Sometimes a green also suits, but I like purples too. I think the sort of sky colors, you know, when you get a real mad sunset or a mad sunrise, so you've got like the blues, the purples and the oranges. Yeah, but you know, I mean, colors in general, man, pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
What's your one?
What is my favourite colour? Blue is good, but I'd probably say purple.
Yeah.
I really
Do you
like purple. Big Prince fan, that's purple. Big Batman fan, Joker, purple.
Yeah, so like a darker, like a more sort of dairy milk kind of purple.
Yeah, that sort of regal colour.
We recently actually bought purple curtains, and I can confirm I do feel very regal.
Are they for the windows or to go around a 4-poster bed?
Oh no, just for the windows, just for the windows. But one day, I got my eye on that tasty 4-poster. One day.
So, we're going to move on to talking about this week's film, which is Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. I'm gonna plant the same blanket rule I have in the past. I'm not calling it that all the way through. I can't be bothered, okay? It's called Popstar, Never Stop Stopping. I'm going to be calling it Popstar. Alice, you picked this one, so give us a little background on it. What's it about and why did you pick it?
So the film is about the band The Style Boys, who are played by the Lonely Island guys. So it's mockumentary style. So we follow the journey of the Style Boys. They go through a bit of a rough patch where Lawrence, who's one of the members, he sort of feels a bit disgruntled that he's not getting the same amount of credit as the main man Connor is. So he leaves the band. So then it leaves Connor to sort of go off and do a solo career, but also with one of the other members, Owen, as his DJ. So it sort of follows them on their journey trying to make it, but then they have a falling out as well, and Owen leaves him. So then he's left to sort of write all the songs and put all the songs together, and it's a massive flop. So his album fails, people start turning on him, and it's kind of about his sort of fall from grace after being this huge superstar to then people just kind of not wanting to know what he is. But then he and his mates make up towards the end, and they all live happily ever after. So it's that kind of turmoil, you know, how we see it, that how bands go through, you know, the breakup and then the makeup, and then they do the comeback album and it sells even more than even before. So it's just kind of following all that, but still like with this mockumentary style, but just really funny. Great bit of sort of satire and a great commentary on the music industry and on celebrity and stardom itself, really. The reason I picked it was because I just absolutely love this film. I love The Lonely Island so much. I think they're so talented and so funny. Some of their songs are just absolutely brilliant. And I like to think about how the heck they came up with them, like just the craziest concepts that they've just put music to. And they just always put so much effort into their songs. I feel like the lyrics are great, the music is great, the videos are always great. And I just really wanted to talk about it in a critical kind of way. Just to see kind of what it does have to offer in that way, instead of just kind of being a big, comedy, a big funny sort of laugh for everyone. Had you seen this one before, Josh?
Yeah, I had seen this one before. I'd seen this a couple of times. Yeah, and yeah, you'd be pleased to know I'm a big fan of the film as well. I do think it's really, really funny, and I am quite a big fan of the Lonely Island as well. It's funny with because I'm not a massive fan of musical comedy. I often find it's the sort of thing that people who like it will show you. And you know that thing when someone shows you a YouTube video and you have to sort of go, oh yeah, and it's like, oh, it's not really to my taste. And I don't know why it is. I don't know why it's not to my taste. It just is. And I often find, if you've ever been at like someone's house, or you're at like a sort of a gathering, a house party, whatever you want to call it, back when you could have those.
Yeah, man, remember house parties? Woo!
Yeah, back in the halcyon days of 18 months ago. But it's the sort of thing where you'd be playing some music, and as the night goes on, and when the sort of music it moves from the house, the host's playlist into a free for all, and people are just going, put this on, put this on, put this on. I always found that like when someone puts a funny song on, or a supposedly funny song, proper like takes me out of it. It makes me go, oh. And then he sort of sit there for 3 or 4 minutes going, yeah. Can we put some good songs back on like now? But the Lonely Island they're a bit different for me. Like they're not the same as like, I don't know. I think what it is about them is that they present their music to you seriously. So because it is all comedy songs, but they do it in such a way that's like it's as if they're taking it seriously, and it's as if they're actually singing about Dick in a Box, or I Just Had Sex, or I'm on a Boat, or Jack Sparrow, or anything like that. And because of that, because they play it so straight, I think that's why it's a bit funnier, and I think that very much transcends and it's translated into this.
But also with them as well, it's like the lyrics that they choose and the sort of themes of their songs are so much what kind of boy bands, what sort of solo male artists are singing about. Like so often they are just singing about how sexy a woman is, or having sex with a woman, but they just make it so literal, and then it makes kind of the whole industry and that whole side of the industry laughable, and you just kind of see it from a different point of view. But yeah, funny you should bring up the YouTube thing, because I discovered Lonely Island. My best mate at the time, we were about 14 or 15. She was like, listen, I've got to show you this, and she showed me Jizz in My Pants. It was just instant. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And obviously, like, not super familiar, even like with YouTube and stuff by then. Like, obviously, online video content wasn't huge at the time. And I saw that and I just thought it was brilliant. And then she bought the album, and we used to drive around and we'd listen to it. Drive around. So we must have been at least 17. So obviously a bit older. I was like, I think it was 14. And it's
we used to illegally drive a car.
Sorry, must have been 17. But yeah, and that was it then. And I just loved it. And then you do a deep dive on them and you listen to more and more of their stuff, and it all just absolutely bangs. Like for me, they don't have a bad one at all. And this film is no exception. Like every single song I think is brilliant. Every song has so many different layers musically. Like they're just not lazy at all with what they do. Like you can tell that there's so much production value in it, and that so much effort has gone into the lyrics. And with this film, I felt like that was felt throughout. So you get so many moments that are on screen for like 2 or 3 seconds, just like snippets of things. Like they'll be on location somewhere doing a bit, or, they'd have set up an interview with someone. And there's so much of that, so much of this scene building that is then only on camera for 2 or 3 seconds. And it's like the effort that's gone into that, like these extreme costume changes, getting in all the cast to do it, all the kind of set design that's gone into it. there's so much work gone into it, and I just really, really appreciate that. And I feel like that means that you should take it seriously as a film, and you shouldn't just fob it off. The one thing I should say as well at the top of this, and I don't know if we've spoken about this before, but I do love music video. Like, music video is one of my favorite forms of storytelling. Like, I used to just watch music videos for hours and hours on YouTube. So I appreciate that this is like a massive music video, and that's probably one of the reasons why I like it as well. But yeah, brilliant. Some of the some of the lore of the world and like the world building is really in depth. Like, so you've got Connor for Real's manager, who was in a band called Tony, and Tony. And then that's a whole thing as well. And you see all the different Tonys, and you kind of see them when they were in their heyday, and you get all that construction too. And Connor's got this pet turtle that was given to him when he was a child, and he's got this really strong connection with his pet turtle. And there's just so many of these things going on throughout it that just give the world so much depth in this really just kind of silly and funny film as well. It's just really interesting. I'll slow down now. What were some of your favorite things about it?
It's funny you mentioned the thing about Tony. So I didn't know this
so
until I read about it. I think that they're a real band. So I think they're called Tony, and the joke is he was the fourth Tony, and he wanted it to be Tony ? And it's like
with
Tony,
the question mark.
Tony, like
Tony.
but I'm
just
not
that little detail.
Yeah,
so
but
funny.
it's stuff like that. You're right with the little details and the set changes and the fact that it's like, well, it's back to sort of what I was saying, which is everything is presented to you like it's real. So it's not. It's doing what all good satires do, which is just showing you a mirror image, and by playing it straight. A lot of comedies do a thing where they're constantly doing a wink and a nod to the camera and sort of almost basking in how clever they think they are. And that works in some senses. But I think with mockumentary, I think it's really easy to do that and make a film that's like, God, what the fuck is this? Like, whereas this, because it presents it to you like it is real, and like you then can't help but draw parallels to things like Never Say Never and the One Direction film and all these other sort of really sycophantic fan films and stuff. But so it's more akin to something like, because of the way it's made, it reminded me a lot of like Spinal Tap.
That's why I thought,
and other Christopher Guest films, obviously, like Best in Show or For Your Consideration, but the obvious one is Spinal Tap with it being music. But no, I love the observation of like celebrity culture. So I love the fact that it's a mockumentary that is mocking mockumentaries and mocking documentaries, and sort of really having a real piss take look at the shallow and materialistic nature of this sort of film. You know, when you see them and they're following them around and everyone is constantly up the celebrity's arse, and it's poking fun at these more modern celebrities, you know, who they share everything, like and things like he's going to propose to his girlfriend, so they put it on TV, or he documents everything he does, so it shows him telling his fans on Snapchat that he's just had a wank and stuff like that.
Like, hey guys, just jerked off, feeling pretty mellow,
and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not 100 miles away from what actually happens. And you see these people, like, I'm not going to like have a pop at anyone in particular, but take as an example, because of the first ones that come to mind, the Kardashians, right? Mm-hmm. They share absolutely everything, and it's just not. It's like fame for fame's sake, isn't it? And it's interesting. And they also do that thing where, like, it shows him pranking people, but what he's actually doing is pranking people who work for him who can't retaliate. Mm-hmm. So it's like they do stuff, like they like, you know, push people over or like whatever. And you hear these stories, don't you, about celebrities? And it's like, oh, there's such a joker on tour or such a joker on set. And it's like, no, they're not. They're a prick. Like, they're mistreating their staff, and their staff just have to take it. It's like, this isn't Jackass where everyone's doing it to each other. It's, you know, it's you doing, like, just being a prick and they can't retaliate. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, it's really, really well paced as well. So it's not even an hour and a half, I don't think, is it? It's like an hour and 27, something like that.
Yeah, literally just under the 1:30 mark. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so it's really, so within 5 minutes, you're shown the background on everything you need to know, from the Style Boys through to them splitting up, through to everything you said when you're talking about the plot. That's within 5 minutes. Then you've got all these cameos from people in the music business who are talking to the camera. I mean, some of the people that they not only get to be in this, but also send themselves up. Like, you've got Ringo Starr, Usher, Simon Cowell, Pink, Seal. Even like,
Let's not forget Mariah Carey.
I was gonna
Mariah Carey,
the bravest.
Snoop Dogg.
Dogg.
When I'm thinking like Snoop Dogg, Mariah Carey, 50 Cent. You don't get bigger than that, right?
No,
that's
you don't.
the peak.
But not only do they get Mariah Carey, but they get her to send herself up. Now, I don't know Mariah Carey. I probably will never meet Mariah Carey, but from what I've heard, she is not someone who I would take the piss out of lightly. So to get her to do the thing where she takes the piss and like has a go at him and stuff on at the award ceremony, I mean, they must really have sold them something there. Like, I suppose it's a credit to how well respected the Lonely Island and the Lonely Island are in the industry.
I think so. Sorry, I just want to touch on that. But I've always thought that. I've always felt like they do have the respect of their fellow comedians and of their fellow artists, because it feels like everyone wants to get involved. And I hope it's not just a cash thing. And I don't want to be cynical. And it's like, oh, well, they're making bank, so we better hop on this as well. I'd like to think it's because when they burst out, like, it did feel fresh. Like, obviously we had, we've got parodies and stuff before, and we had like comedy songs and stuff, but I just felt like we'd never seen it to this level. And I felt like that they just got everyone's respect for that. Obviously, we don't, I don't know that for certain. I don't know what they've had to go through kind of in the industry and kind of coming up in that. But that's always the impression I get, especially, like you say, when you see people like Mariah Carey, like Simon Cowell getting involved, and Ringo Starr.
He's a
freaking Beatle. Like, that's insane, right?
I think it helps that they very much have the backing of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So I think because Andy Samberg is, I don't know if he's still on there, but he was on SNL. That's such a massive draw for people. But they very much then went off and did their own thing and are famous in their own right. There are plenty of people who won't know, especially outside of the States, that Andy Samberg is SNL. But then they also do a really good thing of they mix cameos with real people with comedy actors. So, like, as well as all the people we've mentioned, you've got like Sarah Silverman, Bill Hader, Maya Rudolph, Tim Meadows is another one who's the manager. He is one of these actors who's always showing up. He was another one who was on SNL for many, many years. He does a lot of this sort of comedy. He's in like loads and loads of sitcoms. He's in Mean Girls. He's in loads of stuff like that. I mean, and then they even get like Imogen Poots to play his girlfriend, and then they get Emma Stone to do like a 30-second cameo. Who and it's like, you don't even, I'd forgotten she was in it. I've seen this film a few times. I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Emma Stone was in this as like sort of like a pop star that he does his breakout song with, isn't it? But so they blur the lines between their cameos and the real people, and I quite like that. But it's easy to get that wrong and have someone like Sarah Silverman coming on and having people go, is she playing a character or is she cameoing as herself? But they get it so clear because it's a mockumentary. It's really it's set out in stone, isn't it? Like, this is who this is because it's at the bottom of the screen and this is what they do. And because they're so clear and because it's so well written and the dialogue is so well crafted in terms of the way that they talk about the characters, there's no doubt in that. And that in itself, I mean, I don't know how much of it is scripted and how much of it is improvised, but I think it's so funny.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so sort of true to that kind of documentary style of making a film, and they use all the different techniques. So you've got like the interviews, you've got sort of like the candid camera, the kind of following them around when they're on tour and doing their shows and stuff. But then you've also got like this, I can't remember what they're talking about. They're talking about how Conor For Real's album is flopping, he and his manager, one of the Tonys, and there's like they see a bee or something, and like a nest of bees starts attacking them, or killer bees or whatever. But the guys have like had to turn the camera off because they were asked to turn the camera off and stuff. But you get like the text on screen, kind of, it's written what they're saying and stuff, and you just get all these different methods of storytelling. And I think, like you said, that sort of helps with the pacing of it. You never feel like you're just watching one thing for too long. Like there's a film on Netflix at the moment. It's called, it's an Ariana Grande documentary, and it's listed as a documentary, but it's pretty much just her performing live. Now, I wouldn't call that a documentary. That's a live performance, because you're not really getting to know her. She's not saying much. To me, a documentary is where you're getting to know them personally, right? And you're sort of really getting into their life. But that's not what that is at all. But with this, you just get all the different things that you could possibly want. And it just works so brilliantly. And you just feel like you can see how people sort of get so connected to these celebrities, I suppose, when you do kind of do a deep dive into their life or whatever. But just so brilliant.
But that's another thing they do, isn't it? Is they take the format of a mockumentary and they subvert it and take the piss out of it. So whenever there is a documentary about a musician or a celebrity, or even like a sports star or something like that, there is always a moment where they get emotional and they go, turn the camera off. And it is a bit like, well, you you want a documentary to be made. So it's so sometimes it's so staged, this turn the camera off. And I know they're real people with real emotions, but you just get the impression that it's like, if you don't want them to film you, maybe like walk away or something. I don't, it's just funny that they're always captured so perfectly when they're having these breakdowns, and it's like, don't film me. So then what happens in this is, like you say, is he's upset because his album's tanking, so he tells him to turn the camera off, and then the best thing in the whole world happens, and it's like he's got like a flamethrower and he's killing some bees, and then it ends with them going, tell me you got that on tape. It's like, no, you told me to turn the camera off. So it's subverting that image, isn't it? It's subverting that expectation that there is always a moment where the main subject of the documentary has a breakdown.
I suppose so often as well, it is kind of, it's a bit of a false intimacy, isn't it? Because as soon as you say, put the camera, turn the camera off, put the camera down or whatever, it's like, oh, so what you've been showing us so far isn't the real you, and you're not exposing yourself. But now, because you think you might be being exposed, you want the camera to go off. And it's like, well, yeah, that isn't what a documentary is supposed to be. But it does just feel like the authenticity of documentaries is always in question, isn't it? Like, because how are we ever going to know what's true and what isn't?
It's absolutely. And also it's that some documentaries aren't necessarily like that, but you often find these ones that are so sycophantic and are essentially a mixture of, like you say, performance footage and a bit of their background. And what they're essentially doing is they're taking, Ariana Grande or Justin Bieber, and they're making a documentary that's entirely aimed at their fans. So they don't really want to see a warts and all documentary. So you watch it and you sort of, if you're not a fan of that person, you watch it going, what is the point of this? Like, all you're doing is reinforcing their love of that person, which, okay, maybe that is the point, but the best documentaries are things like Amy or Senna, or even, or Maradona, which I know about the three documentaries by the same guy, but they take their subject and they show you every side of them, which is way more interesting, especially when you're dealing with a flawed person, which everybody in my mind is, because nobody's perfect. But then fans don't want to see Justin Bieber, I don't know, trashing his hotel room or whatever.
Yeah, as well, because his fans are, tend to be younger ladies anyway, don't they? So maybe they're just.
There's a couple of and I think that is the main comparison that this film gets around the time is Never Say Never, which is the Justin Bieber one, because he does stuff in it that is very similar to Justin Bieber. And I think he's come out. I think the Only Hand have come out and been like, it's not a dig at Justin Bieber, but there is, he's got a turtle all the way through it, and Justin Bieber's got a monkey. And he literally goes to Anne Frank's house in Amsterdam, which Justin Bieber obviously had the infamous moment where he went and said that he thinks she would have been a believer, which is just a bit tone deaf, isn't it? That's an example of how these people are in such a bubble that they they don't really consider what is and isn't an acceptable thing to say.
Yeah, and it's not a dig at him, is it? It's a dig at the industry, and it's
Yeah.
a dig about the people and the things that allow this to happen, because it's not a good way to live, like to
No.
have such extreme fame when you're so young, to not have any privacy. And obviously he's like, so his album tanks, Connor's does, and he feels completely lost and just like he can't believe what's happening, and he goes into like this awful despair. He feels like his friends have abandoned him, obviously because they can't deal with the way he is anymore, and that he's just surrounded by these yes men.
Yeah.
And obviously he finds that unsatisfying, and the resolution for him at the end is when the band gets back together, and that's where he finds his happiness, because obviously being around them is probably the most important thing to him. But it's interesting with so we've got Jay from the Inbetweeners as one of his dudes, and there's another fella as well, and they're sat in Connor's house, aren't they? And he makes them cookies. He makes them cookies with dog poo in them, because he wants to see who's going to tell him the truth, who's going to tell him that these cookies taste like shit. And obviously his two like assistants or whatever, like, oh yeah, these are great, these are delicious. But Owen is like, oh man, these are disgusting, these taste like shit. And he's like, Owen, I knew it would be you, or whatever. But it's like the thing with that is that the industry breeds people like that. So if the people around you think that they're going to get fired or that they're going to get in trouble because they don't tell you exactly what you want to hear, then they are really going to tell you what they want to hear. The industry is fragile. You could fuck up one day and not have a job the next, and then you've got no income, and then you're losing your house or whatever. So it makes sense that they would be like that. And especially sort of seeing how temperamental and I guess explosive Connor can be, you would want to say yes and say that, yes, these cookies are delicious because I don't want to lose my job. So it's no one's fault. And it's like the thing with, with Justin Bieber, it's like, it's not Justin Bieber's fault that he is the way he is. He is a product. Like, he's been famous since he was about 12 years old. That's insane. And not just a bit famous, like a global superstar.
Yeah.
That's going to do weird things to you. I feel like this just does a good job at kind of showing you those weird things.
And that's why it's a good satire, isn't it? Like you say, it isn't to a certain, I suppose, to a certain degree, it isn't Justin Bieber's fault. Like you say, he's been famous since he was a little boy. He's been massively globally famous. So he's almost never been able to not have what he wanted. Like, he's been able to get, he's had massive amounts of staff that can go get me this. And you do hear that, not Justin Bieber, I remember hearing an interview with someone who talked about they met someone who used to work for Prince. Now, I'm a massive, massive Prince fan, but it's no secret that he was an absolute nightmare at times to be around, to work with. I remember, I think it was his personal assistant was speaking to, I think it was Kevin Smith, and she said, like, he'd ring her at like 3:00 in the morning and be like, oh, I need a camel. And she'd be like, oh, where do you want me to get a camel from? And he's so in this bubble where he has this almost unhealthy levels of not being able to have what he wants, that no one says no. So he does get a camel because he's got almost infinite amount of money and people around him who will do that for him. And that's what this is, that's why this is funny. That's why this is pointing. It's almost like you say, it's pointing the finger. It's satirical. And that's why it's funny, because some of the stuff he does is so ridiculous, but isn't that far from the truth. There's a big plot point in it, because he signs a deal with an electronics company and they play his album whenever, like, you open the fridge or you put the washing machine on or whatever. And there's this massive backlash because loads of people are going, I didn't want that in my fridge. But that is exactly almost to it. This is obviously a exaggerated version, but that's what U2 did. U2 put an album on everyone's iPhones and iPods, and there was this massive backlash of people going, I didn't want this on my phone. You've used my data. All it did was, they got masses and masses of press attention, so perhaps it worked in that sense. But there just became this joke that U2 gave everyone an album that they didn't want.
So I do want to talk about the songs a little bit.
Oh.
So obviously we start with Humble, which is just... So It's just brilliant. It's a brilliant song. The fact that Adam Levine is there, who is like one of the least humble people in pop at the moment, I would say, that's hilarious. Sorry, he's there in hologram form. And I feel like the fact that we start with that song, it does just set everything up so brilliantly, doesn't it? It's just kind of like, and then it just never stops from there. Like, it's just belter after belter, and they all just kind of tell a different story. So you've got, I think it's called Finest Girl, but obviously it's all about fuck Bin Laden. I want you to fuck me like we fucked Bin Laden. And obviously then he gets all the troops out on stage, and they've got these huge American flags kind of draped all over the place. And it's kind of, just sort of really very... So the impression that we get, obviously, of Americans through, mostly film and TV is that they are sort of very... yay troops, kind of yay war,
patriotic,
kind of not afraid. Yeah. And I feel like that just does a really good job of depicting that sort of thing. And then you've got Pink, the song he does with Pink.
That's my favourite.
Well, I'm not gay, but if I was, I would want equal rights and all this. And it's like, it's just... You do get this thing sometimes with pop stars where they are very, oh, I'm an ally and I am pro-gay and, love who you love, but I'm not gay. I'm definitely not gay. Please don't think I'm gay. And it's like, well, first of all, it doesn't matter. Like, it shouldn't matter whether you're gay or not. No one should care if you're gay. That's your business. So it's just a kind of showing how celebrities will just kind of jump on the back of something and be like, oh, this is the cause that's happening right now. So it's like, oh yeah, I support gay people, I support gay marriage, but I'm not gay, and I'm definitely not gay, and I'm going to sing I'm not gay over and over and over again. And of course, incredible thoughts at the end, just brilliant. So obviously Michael Bolton, like, I wasn't super familiar with Michael Bolton until I saw Jack Sparrow. And that, again, is just hilarious. And the video is brilliant. And I just like to sit there and think, what was the meeting like when they did that? It's like, all right, we're going to do a song about a guy who's obsessed with the Pirates of the Caribbean films. And I would love to see these cogs in motion and see the kind of process that they go through. So Lawrence, who has been living, he's like stepped away from the spotlight. He's been living as a farmer, like he's kind of left that whole scene behind, but he's been keeping a diary of all these incredible thoughts he's been having. So things like a child bites into an apple, but the core is rotten, and just, loads of things that are like supposed to be, I guess like existential and kind of like
poignant,
poetic.
like really poignant thoughts.
Yeah, and they all think that they're brilliant, obviously. And then you just get these like brilliant sort of power ballad moments from Michael Bolton, who's on stage singing to him, and he's playing the piano and stuff. And the song ends with him just saying, "My brain is a genius," and it just floors me every single time. I have seen this film a few times now, and I watched it twice in preparation for this, not because I needed to, but just because I love it so much. And it just, the songs are just brilliant, and they're all brilliant, and none of them suck.
They're fantastic. The songs are fantastic. I think, again, it's back to what we were saying before, which is one of the reasons they're funny is they sound like real songs. Like, a lot of comedy songs are sort of like someone just doing poetry to a bit of music like this. Do you know what I mean? But
like Weird Al.
Or Weird Al, making puns on stuff. And that's fine. But I think this is a sort of a step up in terms of they are like real songs. Like, not only are they, it's not really my taste in music, but you can see like these would be hits musically, I guess. So like Equal Rights, obviously it's taking the piss because a lot of rappers and singers do that song of like, I'm politically aware, like you say, I'm not gay, but if I was, I'd want equal rights. Like, it's not a question. You should want those. You don't. It's like the Black Eyed Peas. The Black Eyed Peas come out and their first big hit single is "Where Is the Love," and everyone's going, okay, big politically aware band. Oh, okay, yeah, talking about how there's war. Yeah, that's good. Next song, My Humps. Literally a song that's like, look at my tits. It's just bollocks. Like, it's like, I'm politically aware, but I'll make sure I'm seen being politically aware. It's just, it's crazy. Like, the Bin Laden one, that's another one that you say. They all love the troops, equal rights. But the equal rights one, not the equal rights one, sorry, Humble. That's the song that sounds most like a hit song
Oh, undoubtedly. Because the way it starts was with Owen goes obviously yep, and there's so many details to it that just, and like he goes, it's Kana, and like it just, the whole thing is like, if you just heard that on the radio, if you didn't see it in the context of that film, you would just think it was a tune, right?
Of
And
all of them, yeah. Of all, like,
Yeah.
Equal Rights. I think if I heard Equal Rights or the Bin Laden one, you'd be going, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Whereas
a bit
that
more.
one, I'm so humble. It literally, it could be like a Pitbull song or something.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Totally agree. And I think it's just such a brilliant opening to the film as well. I know we get like a few scenes before that. I think you get some of like the home movies of Lonely Island or the Style Boys when they were kids and stuff. But then that is like the introduction to the film, and that is when the credits sort of start coming up and stuff. And it's just bam onto it, and you just get such an idea of kind of what it's all about, and an idea about Connor. And with the thing with all the song scenes as well and all the live performances is that there's just crowds and crowds of people. There's so much going on stage. There's so much to do with like the lighting, with the stage design. You've got dancers for days. And again, just so much effort gone into this song. I feel like that these guys, they just won't do anything by halves. Like if they look at something and think this isn't good enough, we will redo this. And I just really get that impression from them in like everything they do. And I think that's definitely part of the reason why I love them so much.
So we'll move on to talking about things we didn't like then, although I don't think this will be a short section. Have you got anything?
Literally nothing, Josh. I love this film. I don't want to go as far as saying it's the perfect film, but for me, there is just something about it. And like I said, I love music video anyway, and so it really kind of satisfies that part of me. And it's just great, and it's funny, and it's musical, and it looks gorgeous, and I think it's boss. I think it's ace. No, I've literally got nothing that I don't like about it. What about you? Was there anything?
No, I'm sure there probably is something. I'd have to watch it again and try and find something, but I always try and find at least something. And I don't think this is the first time this has happened, but I just can't. There's nothing that I thought was out of place. There's nothing I thought wasn't very funny. It's just a good comedy. It's just a laugh, and it's a good, well made satire, I guess.
I've just thought of something.
Oh, go on.
It's too short.
Too short. I would like
1 more hour, please.
I would like a 3-hour version of this film.
Oh, I would.
Making a Murderer style 10-hour series where it's them for an hour for 10 hours.
That would literally be my dream. Something I have thought of, though, that's something that I don't like in terms of Lonely Island, that we'll say. So I think maybe my favourite Lonely Island song is I Run New York, that they do with Billy Joe from Green Day. But there's no video for it. And I think that is an absolute travesty. I think it would make such a brilliant video. Like, I can literally picture it in my head, and they never did a video for it. And that's really disappointing.
So your criticism of the film is something completely unrelated to the film.
It's all I could think of, but it is something I think about a lot, because I'll put it on YouTube and it's just like a lyric video. Someone has kindly taken the time to at least upload it onto YouTube and put the lyric video, but there's no actual video to it. And I just think that would make such a boss video.
I'll try and think of an unrelated point that I have a problem with. So I've said something I don't like. I'll tell you what I don't like about this film. Cauliflower cheese. I think it's shit. I don't know anyone who likes it.
Yeah, good point.
So we're going to talk about the critical reception in just a minute, but before we do, Alice, I believe you're going to take us on a journey.
Yes, indeed, Josh. Please follow me now down the rabbit hole. For this bit, we're going to call Alice down the rabbit hole. So, Let's talk about Connor's opening act, Hunter the Hungry, aka Chris Red. Born in St. Louis in the 80s, Chris dreamed of becoming a rapper after he discovered that spitting bars helped him control his stutter. After pursuing his dreams for a short while in Chicago, he quickly made a career change after discovering a love for improv comedy, which no doubt helped him bag the role as Hunter the Hungry, a character based on Tyler the Creator. Combining his two favorite things, rap and comedy, he leapt at the chance to audition for the Lonely Island Boys, and during his first round, he had the casting team headed by the incredible Alison Jones in absolute stitches. Chris said he found himself to be a bag of nerves on the first day of filming, but chilled out after bonding with Andy over a love of basketball. He felt mostly fine about being on set with major celebrities until Angelina Jolie walked in and he completely forgot how to speak. After the film, he auditioned for SNL, something he had done previously but was turned down, and in 2018 won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Original Music and Lyrics for writing for the SNL song Come Back Barack, reassuring everyone that investing in Chris was indeed a smart move. And that was Alice Down the Rabbit Hole. Whew.
Angelina Jolie's not even in this, though. Is that just one of those things where she's just visited the set?
Well, this was interesting, and I was trying to find this out because I couldn't find any record of Angelina Jolie being in it. But I wonder, because there's a lot of scenes sort of towards the end where you get like audience shots, right? Where they're at an award show. I don't know if it is like the Grammys or whatever it is, but you get loads of audience shots, don't you? And there's like massively famous people in the audience. So I don't know if she was in one of them, but I don't remember her being there. So I don't know if she was just hanging out or what, or if she was like mates with someone who was there.
Yeah, because I was watching the end where, like, when they're performing at it's the made up Poppy Awards, isn't it? Well, I think
is it the Poppies?
They are made up, right? Because it's meant to be like the Grammys, isn't it?
I think it's made up.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty made up.
But I got the impression I couldn't figure it out that if that audience footage was just taken from a real gig or whatever. Or maybe it's like a Daniel Craig in Star Wars type situation where she is in it, she just isn't credited or whatever.
Maybe, but I thought that what you just said as well, that was archive footage because of the amount of famous people all in one place. Because I think in that bit you get like Paul McCartney, I think Chrissy Teigen and John Legend are there, and I think a few more people. But yeah, I did think it was sort of archive footage that they just edited together. But who knows, man? Because obviously those boys are connected.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it? And he does that thing, like you say, where he plays it so straight, and that's why it's funny, because it's like he is real, but he's kind of not at the same time. Anyway, we'll move on to talking about the critical reception then. I know that you've picked this because you just wanted to talk about it, but I'm actually quite intrigued to run the critical reception by you and see what you think. So critically, how do you think this did?
So, I mean, if I was scoring it, and I was thinking about this before, I was like, I was thinking, I'd probably give it an 8. I think an 8 is a good score, but the way that I've just been talking about it, I don't know if I could talk that way about many other films. So I would probably give this a 9, like at least, and maybe sort of creep into the low 9s. And I wouldn't just give that for any old film, because I don't even know if I've seen any film that I think is a 10. Like Terminator 2 is my favorite film, but is that a 10? Like even with that, I'd probably just give it a 9.8. But I don't think this did very well, and I definitely don't think the critics would like it. I feel like we said this before about some actors. I feel this way about Chris Evans. Like I think critics go in and they just don't expect much from Chris Evans, and they're sort of prepared to mark him down or prepared to not like him. And I get the feeling that the critics would feel the same way about Lonely Island, because they're not stereotypically, they're not filmmakers. They're sort of, they're sketch artists, I guess. But anyway, go on, what did he get? Go on, blow my head.
So I think you might be maybe a little bit surprised, actually. So on IMDb, it gets 6.7 out of 10 at the time of recording. On Rotten Tomatoes, from the audience, it gets 65%. And the critics give it 79%.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's not often.
What?
That's not often we get the critics being sort of near, 10-15% higher than the audience. But in this case, at the time of recording, anyway, they do. So I mean, look, you just want to talk about it, but I'm gonna say myself, and you can tell me what you think of this. But I think it is both underseen and I think it's underrated as well. No, it's underrated by the audience. So I suppose from a critical point of view, 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. I probably, from my point of view, put that about right. But I certainly think it's underseen. What about you?
I mean, I definitely think it's underrated. So, I mean, I'm really, really surprised at what you've just told me. I've got to say, like, what, 65 from the audience? That really does surprise me. And the critics, as we know, can be incredibly harsh. So for them to give it a 79, I actually think from them, that's appropriately rated. I would give it higher, personally, but for the critics' point of view, considering how low a score they've given some of the films we've spoken about, I actually think that's very high. And I'm really surprised at the audience score. I'm really disappointed with the IMDb score. But yeah, I think I was always going to say this was underrated, unless it was getting like in the 9s or whatever. So I definitely think it's underrated. In terms of underseen, I mean, it's hard to tell, really. I don't think it's one that really comes up, but I know sort of in my friend group, because the Lonely Island were a thing, and in my husband's friend group as well, it was very much so. So I think maybe just in my circles, it is quite seen. But I don't know if sort of in the general, I think if you go maybe sort of past a certain age bracket, they just won't have seen it. Like, I know my parents haven't seen it, and they probably will never watch it. Whereas with something like, you know, if we're going to talk about like things like Shawshank Redemption, like The Shining, like A Clockwork Orange, like these films that literally anybody would watch at any time because they're held up as you know, such classics or whatever. But yeah, no, definitely underrated. Definitely. Oh, I'm so glad we spoke about it. I'm so glad you love it as much as I do as well, because I wasn't sure.
Would have been a short episode if I didn't.
So there we go. Another one for the ever-growing underrated pile and underseen. Josh, what are we going to be watching for next week?
Next week, we're going to watch Minority Report.
Interesting. Oh, I look forward to it very much.
Yeah, so in the meantime, if you'd like to get in touch with us, then it's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just search for Just Films and That. And we'll see you next week for Minority Report. Do feel free to give it a watch and send us your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Until next week, Alice, it's been nice to chat with you.
Pleasure as always, Josh. Thank you very much.
And it's bye from me.
Bye.
Starting a business can be overwhelming. You're juggling multiple roles: designer, marketer, logistics manager, all while bringing your vision to life. But for millions of businesses, Shopify is the ultimate partner. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. Build a stunning online store with Shopify's ready-to-use templates. Boost content with AI-powered product descriptions, page headlines, and enhanced photography. Marketing is easy with built-in tools for email and social media campaigns. Plus, Shopify simplifies everything from inventory to shipping and returns. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try. Shopify.com/try.
This podcast is brought to you by Aura. Imagine waking up to find your bank account drained, bills for loans you never took out, a warrant for your arrest, all because someone stole your identity. Hackers aren't waiting. Why are you? That's why we're thrilled to partner with Aura. Your personal data is a goldmine for hackers, and Aura helps lock it down. Aura monitors the dark web, blocks data brokers from selling your information, includes a VPN for private browsing, and a password manager to secure your accounts before criminals break in. For a limited time, Aura is offering our listeners a 14-day free trial plus a dark web scan to check if your personal information has been leaked, all for free at aura.com/safety. That's aura.com/safety to sign up and start protecting yourself and your loved ones. That's AURA.com/safety. Terms apply. Check the site for details.